Modern daily life is a fortress of physical security. You control your climate with a dial, summon food with a tap, and sleep without ever glancing at the door for predators. Yet, despite this extreme safety, we often spend our days in a state of psychological numbness, drifting through hours of passive observation. This era of ease is the exact outcome your ancestors bled for. For thousands of years, they endured starvation and brutal labor for one specific purpose: to gift you the luxury of choice. By treating this safety as a reason to do nothing, we have accidentally turned their hard-won reward into a trap of total complacency. We can view our current habits through the lens of a generational ledger, an analytical tool that measures our daily effort against the sacrifices that made our lives possible. The ancestral capital column is heavy. It contains the physical labor and the sheer will to survive carried by the people who shared your last name centuries ago. We contrast that with the modern default column, where centuries of survival are traded for hours of cheap dopamine and the comfort of avoided obligations. This deficit exists outside of bank accounts. It represents a weight of gratitude owed to the people who built the very stage you stand on today. Every excuse you make to avoid difficult work represents a failure to balance this ledger, essentially defaulting on a life or death investment. Most people blame their lack of progress on a missing spark of motivation or a broken discipline system. Your failure stems from a collapse in your baseline personal standards. Skipping a hard workout or avoiding a difficult talk pulls this internal ceiling lower, physically shrinking the space available for your potential to grow. Discipline functions as the natural byproduct of holding yourself to a standard so high that quitting feels like a betrayal of your identity. While the average person negotiates with their own comfort, a legacy builder views their high standards as non-negotiable requirements. Every time you reach for an excuse, you are choosing to accept a lower ceiling for your life and turning your back on the ledger. Today, the most significant threat to your generational ledger is the consumption trap. It starts when you return home physically safe but mentally tired, immediately using a screen to numb the exhaustion of the day. You spend hours watching other people build their wealth, their bodies, and their names, while your own life remains static. You become a ghost in your own story, observing reality rather than physically shaping it. Reclaiming your time requires you to ruthlessly starve the part of yourself that only wants to consume. You must pivot to solitary, productive action, building your mind in silence, starting a business, or training your body through intense physical struggle. Legacy is measured by what you produce for your family and the world. Consumption leaves no trace. Modern society defines legacy as a collection of physical objects: a leased luxury car, a large bank account, or a famous name. These are fragile inheritances. Markets crash, property is seized, and unearned wealth is easily squandered by those who never learned how to build it. A durable legacy requires the transfer of character and systems. Character in this context translates to unwavering consistency. It is the act of keeping your word and maintaining a standard of excellence, regardless of who is watching. Leaving behind the memory of a person who refused to quit provides the next generation with more utility than any financial asset ever could. This leads to one final question. Are you merely surviving your life, or are you actively building a foundation for those who will follow you? Cycles of mediocrity break during the quiet decisions you make when nobody is watching. Step out of the consumption trap today and embrace the heavy, unglamorous work required to balance your generational ledger. Honoring your ancestors requires you to become the active architect of your family's future. Ensure that your bloodline does not end with your excuses.